Just as a warning, due to the nature of Warrior Cat's rumors, there will be a couple uncomfortable topics touched on in this video. I do try to be vague about it, but you know how these things are. So a long time ago, I made a bad video about Warrior Cat's misconceptions that went over some things that people still believed about Warrior Cats that weren't true. It wasn't a great video and I hid it later. Honestly, if you go back to like 2017 or 2018, all of my videos sucked and I was always wrong. If I hide a video, it's usually because I say something I don't believe, or it's not worth watching at all anymore, and I don't want it out there because it doesn't represent my opinions. We were going over this sort of thing in Patreon, and it came up that it was worth talking about these things a bit again, and I am constantly dispelling rumors from various places about the series in video comments, so I think it's worthwhile to go over some of them. I may or may not go over a few points that I've already gone over before, but that's just the nature of this sort of thing. This video was born from conversation with patrons. I pushed Rainbows over and stole her idea. This video is going to be in multiple parts as well, because when I asked for rumor suggestions on my YouTube sidebar, I got hundreds. And don't get me wrong, out of those hundreds, there were hundreds of repeats, but I still got more suggestions that I can fit in one. That said, before getting started on rumors, I feel like I should get distracted on the relation between canon and semi-official sources, because there is a lot of weird stuff going on there that I think needs to be clarified somewhat before I get into anything specific. A lot of rumors sent to me related back to this dilemma specifically. So back in the day, a lot of content was being added to our general lore and understanding of canon from a friend of Vicky's on Vicky's Facebook. Like, a lot. Tons of kittens, dark forest cats, some relations, some pelt colors and clarifications, there is tons of it. The wiki decided at some point that they do not actually consider these additions canon, but some of it lives on anyway. Initially, this stuff did get added to the wiki, and from what we can tell, the Warrior Cat's website family tree referenced the wiki for its relations and kittens. But when all of these relations and kittens got taken off the wiki, they got added back on because the Warrior Cat's website had added them after reading them on the wiki. So if or not you consider these kittens real is completely up to you, as they are still publicly backed up by the website, but do keep in mind that none of them have made appearances in any of the media. This goes for recently published graphic novels, which for necessity's sake do also cut cats we actually see, and does not add in or name any of the characters that were born on Vicky's Facebook. But this causes confusion in other places because there's a lot of things from Vicky's Facebook that are said and then vanish into mist because they don't have much to do with relationships or kittens. For example, Vicky's Facebook friend names two cats from Spotted Leaf's Heart Bat Ear and Fennel Dust. But we never see Bat Ear or Fennel Dust on any official media or the website, even though it has a Dark Forest tab. Likewise, on the subject of the Dark Forest, Vicky's Facebook friend provides a big list of cats who go to the Dark Forest, but we know from later books that a lot of these aren't actually there. Of these, Blizzardwing, Brightflower, and Marshcloud are later shown in StarClan, and Stumpytail is later shown in Hell. I can't tell you why Stumpytail went to Hell, he just did. The Warrior Cat's family tree on the website should probably be taken with a grain of salt. Like I said before, a lot of the cats that only exist on it aren't in the books. You could, in a revisionist history sort of way, say, no, Elder Kit is real, here he is on the page, but there being a nameless kit does not mean the kit is named Elder Kit or looks exactly like Elder Kit. Correct, Ocelot. Likewise, characters like Frecklewish, who were recently added to the Dark Forest by the website, even after Victoria Holmes, not Victoria Holmes' friend, but Victoria Holmes stated that all the victims in Mapleshade's vengeance went to heaven, have never been inside the Dark Forest inside a book. This could very well change any day, but as it stands, as of making this video, none of the invented children, siblings, or Dark Forest cats are book canon and haven't been in published works. They're like a moon orbiting the canon, threatening to crash into it someday, but haven't done so yet. So when it comes to this sort of thing, website canon versus real canon versus Vicky's Facebook stuff, it's mostly just up to your own interpretation, like I said. If you really enjoy having a whole bunch of Firestar siblings that don't actually have any relevance to anything, then you keep enjoying that. That's fine. But stuff like this isn't really a misconception, it's more so just a disagreement between fans, or a fuzzy, blurry line as to what's real or not. In this video, I want to go over what's actually real and fake, not what constitutes being canon. For example, it is completely real that Stumpytail is listed in the Dark Forest on the Warrior Cat's website, so that's not a misconception, it's just the levels at which you take it seriously. Likewise, nobody is wrong or right to say something like Link's kit never existed. The way I'm counting it is that if it was said by an author, it's true, and if it's on an official resource, it's true, no matter what. That said, if it's on an outdated official resource that was then replaced by another resource, like say the old Warrior Cat's website family tree that got replaced by the new one, then it is not true. So with that all out of the way, I want to go over some specific actual rumors and misconceptions. The way I went about this is that I asked my patrons, who looked through fact videos for me painfully, thanks Rainbows again, sorry for punching you, and I asked for rumors on my community tab. There have been a surprising amount that I have not heard of at all that like 10 or more people still told me. Oh, and another thing I won't be going over is anything that's subjective, like Tree is actually a bad person. That's not a misconception, that's another disagreement. So here we go. This will be part 1, and I'll try my best to get the commonly suggested ones out of the way and save some of the weirder or more interesting ones for the second video. Number 1. Sweet Paw was buried alive. I hear this one all the time, and I've heard it for years, and I'm not sure where it came from. Sweetpaw is a sibling to Thistleclaw and Rosetail in Bluestar's prophecy. She gets sick, and she dies. There's no evidence that she isn't dead at the time whatsoever. Bluefur compares the stillness of her body to her mother's lifeless body, and they hold a vigil for her like they would any other dead cat. And Sweetpaw appears at Bluefur's leader ceremony with no indication that she was buried alive. There's just nothing that could be pointing to the idea that she would still be alive in the book, aside from her mother yelling desperately that she won't wake up beforehand. I have my suspicions that this might have roots in people claiming Bluefur to be an unreliable narrator, because it's Bluefur who actually tells Featherwhisker that she's dead initially, but we don't have any evidence of Bluefur being an unreliable narrator, and there's no reason to believe that she's in the wrong when she notices Sweetpaw is still and cold. And even if hypothetically Sweetpaw was still alive, somebody would have noticed that she was still breathing while they groomed her and set up her vigil. Number 2 is just a couple author jokes that got taken seriously that I grouped into one. The first is that Vicky said at some point Bluestar chased Thistleclaw out of StarClan and into the Dark Forest, but we later learned this wasn't true and Thistleclaw had been aligned with the Dark Forest the whole time. She also said that Jake was taken out by a falling meteor. While we don't know if or not he actually was, this is certainly a joke and not something to be taken seriously. She also never said that the meteor was the one that Spotted saw, from my understanding. Kate saying that the Ford Model T ran over Turtletail, I am pretty sure is also a joke. Additionally, Vicky is not still planning and probably was never actually planning a Heavy Step Super Edition. These are all really common things to still be said, and even though it may be obvious to us nowadays, I figure I'd go through them. 3. Speaking of Heavy Step dying 3 or more times is an exaggeration. I have a full video about this guy if you're interested, but he only accidentally dies and comes back a single time. He does not die 3 times, he does not die in any print of Long Shadows or Sunset. He dies once, appears in the original book prints after he's dead, and then dies again. In the new prints, this is all corrected. Heavy Step, at most, including every error, only dies twice. I'm sorry. Number 4, Darkstripe abused Fernpaw. This is just a really edgy rumor that comes about when discussing Darkstripe because we know he poisoned Sorrelkit and he's a bad guy, but we don't have any evidence that Darkstripe specifically treated Fernpaw, his apprentice, badly. Likewise, all he did to Sorrelkit was poison her. That's it. Number 5, Sparkbelt was planned to be suicidal. This is one people say extremely often, and it's just not true. No author has ever implied that Sparkbelt was planned to have an arc like this, and I can imagine that originally it was related to the way that Spotfur was very purposefully displaying reckless behaviors while pregnant, but this rumor was actually older than Squirrelflight's Hope when I looked into it, so it's really just something edgy that probably originated in an unreliable place like the original Warrior Cats forums. While Sparkbelt does get depressed in the wake of the death of her mate and stillborn child, she does not have any indication of self-harm, nor have the authors ever stated she does. Most of the versions of this rumor that I heard were way more graphic than this, and I don't want to go into any of the details. Number 6, Bramblestar had or was going to have rabies. This one sucks because it's my fault. It was a joke. Me and some friends humored it on a podcast and people just ran with it and took it seriously. I'm so sorry. We never actually believed it was happening, but I guess some people thought we did. Likewise, Tigerstar asked Goldenflower to come with him. This is a lie that is probably my fault as well. I have a video where the joke is that Tigerstar asked everyone possible but Darkstripe to come with him, and this isn't real, it was just a gag. He asked Darkstripe right away, and never even references Goldenflower when being exiled from ThunderClan. Please do not use Moonkitty humor videos as a source of canon information. Number 8, Cannibal Mapleshade. All I really need to say here is that in no book is Mapleshade a cannibal, but this one is complete nonsense to me as a rumor. I've gotten multiple comments claiming that people believed that Mapleshade was a cannibal before her novella, specifically saying her novella. But if they did believe this, they could have only believed it for at most 6 months. And on top of that, until people commented on my post about it, I never heard of it. Crooked Star's Promise comes out less than a year after Mapleshade is introduced as a character in Night Whispers and gives us her whole backstory. If somebody really believed that Mapleshade was a cannibal, they only had a few months in 2011 to do it. But almost everyone who suggested this as a rumor claimed that people believed it, quote, before Mapleshade's novella, which doesn't make any sense. We had her full backstory. So I think this is more so a rumor of a rumor existing. Maybe there was some thread way back in the day that only a few people saw on the Warrior Cats forums that suggested maybe Mapleshade was a cannibal, but I don't consider that a widespread rumor. I consider that one guy saying something and a few other guys fighting with him. But here's another reason I think it's completely made up. If you use search tools to go before 2016 and look for cannibal Mapleshade, there's nothing. While this wouldn't have archived stuff like the official Warrior Cats forums and other websites that have since been taken down, you would think that if this was actually any sort of widespread rumor, there would be a result from like DeviantArt or something, and there isn't. So from what I can tell, this is just a game of telephone, or maybe something that happened in a very small and insular space being blown up as if it was a big deal. Either way, from all the evidence we have, Mapleshade became a cannibal after her novella was out, and it's really doubtful that anyone ever actually believed she was a cannibal. Number 9. Any cat having an eating disorder. Eating disorders have not been covered in Warrior Cats, and the cats are not implied to have eating disorders. This goes for Gray Stripe, Dark Stripe, Bumble Stripe, and all the other stripe cats that got, hit with this specific rumor. 10. Senior Warrior means Old Warrior. From what we can tell, Senior Warrior, the use of the term isn't just for older cats, but just cats who have been a warrior for a while. Cats are called Senior Warriors as young as 2 or 3 years old, and not in small quantities. Let me give you a quick rundown so that you know what I mean. Brightheart and Brackenfur seem to only be about 4 when they're first called Senior Warriors. Squirrelflight is a Senior Warrior when she's about 3, so is Whitewing, so is Crowfeather. Birchfall is a Senior Warrior around 2, and so is Cinderheart. While this could just be how it works in Vicky's books and not the New Team books, because I'm not really sure how early people have been called a Senior Warrior in the New Team books, it's more likely that Senior doesn't really mean elderly so much as experienced and capable warrior over brand new warrior. Consider that the word senior doesn't just apply to old people, but also applies to anyone who's been doing something longer than you. 11. Tigerstar promised that Tawny Pelt could be Scourge's mate. This one I had never ever heard of before these suggestions, but it came up like 3 times somehow. So this did not happen, and trust me, Scourge would not have any trouble finding a mate for any reason. He doesn't need to be offered one. He is literally the ruler of an entire cat community. Likewise, we don't actually know anything about Tawny's time in ShadowClan while Tigerstar was alive, let alone something as wild as this. 12. Ashfur is Squirrelflight's uncle. Sandstorm has no canon parents anymore, not on the family tree on the website or in the books, so Ashfur simply cannot be Squirrelflight's uncle. In fact, within the clans, Squirrelflight simply cannot have an uncle. While early family trees did give Sandstorm parents, including Redtail as her father, I think is the one that stayed the longest, they have since been taken back. Similarly, number 13, Graystripe's parents are siblings. This would be a mistake from the same old Warrior Cats family tree that was taken back and isn't true anymore. Willowpelt is in fact confirmed to be his mother as of Graystripe's vow, but his father is not Patchpelt. Number 14, Snowkid is Snowtuft and Jayfeather is Rock. I'm putting these two together because they're basically the same thing. They're just fun theories that people came up with that don't really have basis in reality. Rock and Jayfeather are both blind. Snowkit and Snowtuft both have snow in their names, and they're both dead. They are fun theories and ideas, but they're not hinted at in the text. Some kids just mistake AUs and people going wouldn't it be cool if for reality sometimes. Number 15, gay cats are forced to become medicine cats. They would have to give us gay cats first, guys. Yes, I know, Ravenpaw. Anyway, this theory probably just comes from the fact that due to their nature of not having mates, medicine cats often won't be in any canon relationships with the opposite sex, meaning that they're easy to ship with others without worrying about canon and tend to dominate our /shipping scene for that reason. Painfully bursting bubbles here, but speaking of gay medicine cats, we have number 16, Little Cloud was confirmed to be gay by an author. People claim that an author had said that Little Cloud is not into she-cats, but to my knowledge, no author has ever actually said that, and the whole rumor was just wishful thinking. That said, it might have mutated from the numerous times people have tried to ask if Little Cloud was interested in Cinderpelt specifically, something that Vicky denies. 17, Leafpool was forced to be a medicine cat. From what we understand, Leafkit chose her life as a medicine cat willingly. No worries. Nobody forced her paws. She was already a medicine cat on her first outing as an apprentice. This rumor probably comes from the fact that Cinderpelt, Jayfeather, and Alderheart were all at least a little bit pressured by some circumstance to become medicine cats, in the original books anyway. So it's really not too much of a stretch to imagine somebody mistook Leafkit for one of those characters. Although this rumor very specifically usually says that Sandstorm was the one who pushed her to do it, and I don't know where that part comes from at all. Speaking of Leafpool, number 18, Firestar named Leafkit. It was actually Sandstorm who named Leafkit, not Firestar. We don't know after who exactly. Firestar suspects both Leafstar and Spotted Leaf. But we don't know for sure because we are seeing it from Firestar's perspective. This one is usually used as some sort of gotcha, as if to say, hey look, Firestar doesn't love his wife because he named his kit after Spotted Leaf or something, and he didn't name the kit at all. It's not even on him. 19. Tigerstar having a whole bunch of mates. This one came to me in a whole bunch of different forms. Some of them said it was like when he was Tigerstar, and some of them said it was when he was Tigerclaw, and some of them had like wildly high numbers for how many mates he had, or said that he was the father of Badgerfang, which I'm not really sure what the narrative implications of that would be. But regardless, Tigerstar's only mates in the whole series are Sasha and Goldenflower. That said, it is true that Tigerstar now has descendants in every clan except for Wind Clan. We've got Mothwing and River Clan, Tawnypelt and Shadow Clan with her kids, Brambleclaw and Thunder Clan with his kids, and Birchfeather and Sky Clan. And no, Tigerstar is not in any way related to Badgerfang. 20. Honeyfern died pregnant. Honeyfern was not pregnant when she saved Briarkit from the snake, although she did just get through a conversation about wanting to have babies with Berrynose, so it's easy to see where that confusion comes from. 21. Some secret earlier version of Warrior Cats that either had Girl Firestar or Love Interest Bluestar. There's no evidence for these two anywhere I can find. Trust me, if She-Cat Firestar was something that the authors actually said, we would know. They would tell us this all the time. But Firestar was almost certainly conceived as a male character. People claimed that the Bluestar one used to be listed on our wiki page, but going back as far as I can, there are no versions of the page with that piece of trivia. Likewise, this seems like it was actually a fairly new rumor overall, as I can't find anyone talking about it any further back than a few years ago. So as far as I can tell, it's complete nonsense. And if this really was listed on her wiki page, the fact that it was removed means that the editors correctly recognized it as a load of horse dung. Number 22, Squirrelflight had stillborn kittens at some point. Squirrelflight never gives birth until her litter with Bramblestar leading up to a vision of shadows, and she's mentioned to have been a bit older for her first litter at that point. Likewise, there's really no time in the back half of the new prophecy for this to have happened. We see too much of Squirrelflight and we would know if she was pregnant or if she miscarried. I saw a whole bunch of versions of this, some where it's Bramblestar's litter and some where it's Ashfur's litter, but it really doesn't matter because it didn't happen. This is definitely one that I saw when I was younger, but I think it was like as a pre-Leafpool's Wish explanation as to why she took Leafpool's kits or something. But that doesn't make much sense either because I'm pretty sure they point out that Squirrelflight didn't have that much milk in the site. Lastly, here's a Moonkitty bonus rumor for you. Moonkitty rumor. Moonkitty cares what Dovewing's eye color is. Back in the day when I complained about Dovewing's eye color, it wasn't in any way about me preferring green to blue or gold. It was just about how the wiki was favoring personal bias over book evidence at the time. Dovewing's eyes were truly blue for the first several books she appeared in, but at that point, and also running to current day, her eyes have been green for more books than they were ever blue, and currently in book canon are still considered green. What I saw at the time was the wiki using its power to determine what was true or false about the character, and ignoring the published evidence to the contrary. Because we knew the authors at the time used the Warrior Cats wiki as a source instead of internal spreadsheets or lore bibles or anything, it became an issue of corruption in what was supposed to be an unbiased source. But Dovewing's eyes being green was also something that was really easy to meme about at the time, and that's all anyone remembers. So when it comes to me, I don't know. I think if her eyes had been said to be gold for the past 10 years instead of green, the whole meme would have just been about her eyes being gold instead. I think that Dovewing can be cute with any eye color. I just want our official sources to be unbiased and not try to push any sort of narrative on the readers. Now, I'm saving the rest of the actual rumors for a part 2, but for fun, here's a few things that people sent to me as rumors that were actually true. Number 1, Mapleshade targeted Appledusk. This one is from my post on YouTube. They wanted me to clarify that Mapleshade accidentally kills Appledusk, and she kind of does, but Mapleshade does very much stalk down and hunt Appledusk specifically at an earlier point. The book even says, "Once again, StarClan had brought Mapleshade's prey right to her paws." When she sees him, she waits for him to be alone, but Perchpaw and Reedshine never leave, so she misses her initial attack opportunity. That said, when she next goes after them, she does change target to Reedshine when she shows up. While she is there to kill Appledusk, she abandons the attempt to kill Appledusk and goes for Reedshine instead, claims Appledusk belongs to her, and tries to kill her, but Appledusk gets in the way and dies instead. Additionally, Mapleshade's hallucinated babies celebrate the killing of Appledusk, so it's not like it wasn't on her bingo card. She just hated Reedshine a little bit more than she hated him. So she didn't really seek out Reedshine specifically so much as opportunistically change targets when she came out. This might have been something that I was wrong about too in the past, and I'm sorry about that. Number 2, Firestar and Scourge are brothers. This may seem super obvious to any older fan, but this was sent to me in complete seriousness as a rumor by multiple children, and I have actually seen people debating this in the past year, so I will clarify. Firestar and Scourge are supposed to be brothers as of the graphic novel Rise of Scourge, and the authors have said it outright in various places. Likewise, we can probably assume that Squirrelflight's one white paw is a reference to her uncle. 3, Tigerstar's one true love was Sasha. This isn't stated in the books, but an author does say this explicitly, so it's on the same level as stuff posted by the Warrior Cats website or the authors in general. 4, Firestar's mother got a prophetic vision of him. And I know that this is one of the fakest sounding things in the whole video, but it was actually true. It was included as a fun fact in the original Warrior Cats app, which I think you can kind of still get. She dreams that she sees him on top of a rock, far from her, and he cannot hear her, which is kind of a weirdly mean dream to send to her, considering that she never tries to contact him or anything. Why does she need to know that her kid's never going to talk to her again? 5, if a pregnant cat dies, she gives birth in StarClan. While we don't know if or not a queen actually physically is made to give birth in StarClan, we do know that some cats, specifically Brightstream off the top of my head, who died pregnant, are shown together with their unborn kittens in StarClan later. I'm so sorry. Stillborn kittens also show up in StarClan. Alright, that wraps this up. I've got quite a few really fun ones to go over in the next one, but if you can think of any other rumors that you've seen people very legitimately believing, let me know in the comments and I'll tack them on.